Shabbat Shalom to the 12 tribes of Israel, scattered abroad, and believers in the Messiah. Welcome, everybody. Good evening to you all. Hi, I'm Dave Sain, Senior Shepherd here at Living Manna. This, of course, is Hidden Manna, conversation between some brothers just talking about the things of Yah, trying to delve into the Word, as well as all sorts of other topics on top of that. But I hope that you guys are having a great Shabbat Eve. Brother Max, how are you, man?
Hey, what's up, buddy? Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you.
Shabbat Shalom. Good to see you. I like you sporting that LM hat.
Yeah, gotta. It's too cold back here.
I know. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. Hold on a second. I lost my little page here. There we go. Okay. So it's 2026.
Mm-hmm.
Time's flying, huh?
Yep.
Time is flying. So what were you doing at midnight on New Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve. Oh my goodness! At midnight.
I was sleeping.
We were supposed to be in bed, but I think Olivia wanted to watch a movie, and I think we watched a movie, and then all of a sudden we started getting some texts from my wife's family. We're like, oh yeah, that's right.
We were out, man.
Doing the whole Times Square.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it's a kid watching the Times Square. Now this year, I think I remember I saw this on YouTube that so the ball was going to go down, and then it was going to turn red, white, and blue supposedly, and then go back up because this year becomes the 250th, and I don't even know how you would say that. I heard it said the other day, what our 250th anniversary, however you would say that in mathematically, it was a bicentennial or whatever. I think it's the quincentennial or something like that. Mm-hmm. So our 250th anniversary as a nation is this year, 4th of July. Supposedly it's going to be a big year with all sorts of events going on. So I'm looking forward to that. I enjoy 4th of July. It's crazy. Well, you know how it is here.
Oh yeah,
in my area, it's crazy. It's and now if that's how it normally is, just in a regular 4th of July.
Yeah,
I can imagine what this year is going to be.
Yeah, the streets in your neighborhood get taken over. You can't even drive down them.
No. It's honestly, it's better than going to the Macy's 4th of July parade. I mean, fireworks.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Excuse me, hold on. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're good. I remember one time when me and my wife, we first remember our second apartment, actually. We lived in Brentwood. And Brentwood, I know a lot of people.
Of course, yeah.
And so we're sitting outside on her parents' side patio, and we're watching the fireworks. Not as, not like your neighborhood, but it was pretty good. And all of a sudden, these two little kids, no older than like 8, 9 years old, looked at me and my wife. They lit an M80 and threw it at us and ran.
That sounds like Brentwood.
Dude, yeah. I want to, if I didn't have a bad back, because I was still hurt back then, I would have jumped over. I was just like, I couldn't believe these little rugrats threw an M80 at us.
Yeah, no, that sounds like, no, I'm telling you, people spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on fireworks for our neighborhood. It's crazy. Yeah, to have that much side money just to go spend. Listen, unless you've got like a really good side hustle job, like you own a child care center or something like that
in Minnesota.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my goodness! That was a good leeway for that one. Huh?
That was a good leeway. You want a good side hustle? At least it was a good side hustle in 2025. I think now you try to do it, you're going to wind up going to jail.
Yep. That was good.
But that was funny. I've been watching that all week long. I'm like, come on. I saw the video. So obviously the FBI is going down there now and they're trying to get all the records. They got no records. Place has been closed. They're just, empty buildings. And I saw this one child care center. It's in of course, Minneapolis. And then I guess the owner of it or the manager of it, a kid, he couldn't have been older than 20, maybe 21 on the high end. And he gets on, he's got all these women behind him holding these signs, stop the racism, all that kind of stuff. And he's complaining. He's doing a news thing, giving a whole interview on. He says, last night our children's center was broken into, and the thieves came in and they stole all our records.
All the health records,
All,
yeah.
all the children. So we
that's
had
what they
no
took.
record. I mean, come on, man.
They left the flat screen TVs, the computers.
They left the computers, the flat screen TV, the $20,000 in the safe.
Yeah.
But they took all the records. I was like, oh, come on, man. That is just ridiculous. It's funny. It's sad on the one hand, but it's also kind of funny to watch on the other hand, how they're just lying. And of course, everything's racism. That's like if it's not racism, it's Islamophobia or it's some sort of phobia.
Yeah.
Those words that they put out to try to shut down the conversation. I really think people are just getting tired of it.
Oh yeah.
I think we're people kind of like fed up with that. Like enough.
Oh yeah, and then the new word, the fascist, everything is just
fascist. Yeah, it's like come on, you're stealing money. You got caught. What are you going to do? You know? But so crazy things are going on all around the world. You've been checking out what's going on in Iran. I've been, watching some videos on that. It's crazy.
I know.
These people are revolting, which is good. They're revolting against the Islamic regime there.
I think Trump even put a tweet out, right?
Yeah.
That he would defend them. He told them that not to kill any of the protesters or he'll intervene. Yeah, they took over some of the police stations that are owned by the I forget what that's called, the IRGC or whatever it is there. They're secret police. And so, and it's crazy because, for a couple of years now, you've been hearing about this revival, this underground revival that's going on in Iran of, people just literally having visions of the Mashiach who's coming to them and saying, I'm Mashiach. And they're realizing we're thinking that they're just all diehard Islamists. And of course, I'm sure there's a lot of diehard Islamists there. That's beyond a shadow of a doubt. But there's a lot of people there that are not, that they are believers in Messiah. And it's wonderful to see. And so I think as a result of that is what we're seeing now, this revolt against this oppressive Islamic regime. So, it's going to get bad. It's going to get ugly. There's no doubt about it. But I hope this is a counter revolution, another revolution that maybe changes the trajectory of the Middle East and puts it on a path back to Messiah. That's my hope anyway. Yeah. Amen. And of course we got the Venezuelan front going on, and we got now Russia threatening to send in stuff down there to help them. And
it's so funny. I was watching some of the pundits on the left, and they're talking about, well, are those boats really drug boats? They could just be fishing boats with six outboard motors on them, doing 225 miles an hour on the water.
Yep. And half submarine,
half submarine. So people put up a meme that says, wait, the left can't even tell you what a woman is. The left can't tell you what a man is. And just through this all of that garbage that we went through. But they can tell you what a fishing boat is.
Yeah.
It's like, wow,
crazy.
That's funny. That's funny.
So true.
You got to look at the world and laugh. I mean, it's not the world is not funny, but you got to find the humor in it, or else you're just going to be sad all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to. Obviously it's a secular year. It's not Yah's year. Yah's year begins in spring, and we're gonna mark it when it comes, because this begins another jubilee. This year is the first year of another jubilee. So this year that we just passed was a jubilee year.
Yep.
So after the Wednesday after the spring equinox is going to begin another jubilee cycle. So and who knows, if the Zadok calendar the math is all right, perhaps the last jubilee cycle. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah.
We shall see.
That's right, bro.
But I just wanted to give a shout out to Brother Jim. We're praying for healing for you. I want to give a shout out to Brother Mosey. We're praying for healing for you. We give a shout out to Sister Barbara. We're praying for healing for you. Got a whole bunch of people that are going through all sorts of different things, and we just want to lift them up and ask Yah's touch and Yah's healing for them. So if you guys are watching, you guys are on our minds. And while, again, it is a secular year, we still Happy New Year to everybody. Hopefully this will be a really good one for all of us as we continue our walk in the Master.
That's right. And I know it's, I guess, I forgot the name of the strain. What is the strain for this year for the flu?
Oh,
Yeah, it's really bad.
I
We
had
got
it.
notification. I know
Yeah,
we
we
were
had
getting
it.
notifications from the state on the
HN32 or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we were sick for 3 weeks. For 3
yeah.
weeks. I mean, actually, we were really. I mean, honestly, to me, it was worse than COVID.
hmm
It was much,
hmm
much worse than COVID.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
guy I watch on YouTube for like 3 weeks. He said his chest just feels like it's on fire. Like
yeah.
all,
Oh
it's
yeah.
crazy.
We still have sort of that linger. Now it's almost gone now, but it's been 3 weeks. You have like
hmm
a cough that lingers on. You're not contagious anymore, but there's this nagging cough that just
Yep.
won't go
Yep.
away. But the time that when you actually have it
Yeah.
was miserable. But like I
Yeah.
said, for me, it was worse than COVID. Much,
hmm
much worse than COVID. And of course, there's lots of people dying from it, which is sad and
Oh yeah.
horrible. And
Yeah.
but
It's I was watching a doctor. He was giving and the news reporter asked, "Why is it always this time of the year?" He goes, "Well, think about what society just came off of, from Thanksgiving, how people eat on Christmas Eve, Christmas. They just it's just an excuse to be a glutton." And then they're drinking, they're eating all this crappy food, and then they're not getting sunlight no more. Of course, your body's weak. You
it's got to
know.
also be, something with the trade winds,
Well,
how viruses are
oh yeah,
carried through
but
the
you want to
wind
laugh,
and
and
all
I
that
know
kind of stuff.
this isn't our topic, but real quick, do you notice that every year, it's a major flu out, and they always say, "Oh, the reason why the flu shots didn't work is because by the time they were produced, it's a different strain." They say, but take it anyway. They
Yeah,
say that every
yeah.
year. I was watching a thing, a meme, and it was showing like every year. Every year they say the same thing, boom, 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 and it's like because they don't work,
Well,
but still
listen,
take it anyway.
if you're a senior,
Oh yeah, well,
if you're up there in years and you've got all sorts of other, issues and things going on, listen, it's a good idea to take the flu shot because honestly, it's a crapshoot because they really don't know what flu strain it is until it actually comes. So it is a bit of you're rolling the dice a little bit, but if it affords some protection as you get older in life, listen, that's a good thing. Those people that are younger and healthier, you could deal with it and go through it. But so I would I was not a proponent of the shots before, the whole COVID thing.
Mhm.
But the flu shot, if you're older, yeah, I get it. I understand that. I do. I understand that. Your body's fragile. You get older. You haven't been keeping up with your health. You got all sorts of comorbidity thing going on. The last thing you want to do is get sick and die from a flu. That's the last thing. Man, if I'm going to go, I want to go out in a blaze of glory. I don't want to die from a cold. That would be absolutely terrible. So anyway,
Or a shark attack.
or shark attack.
That's my fear.
We swam with the dolphins when we went
Mhm.
to I forgot what island it was. When we were in the Caribbean, we did the whole cruise thing, and my daughter-in-law Anna set us up on this thing we went on. We went on to swim with the dolphins, and yeah, in your mind, it's a dolphin, and you're thinking flipper, and and they're so cute and they're cuddly, and you get in the water, and here's this 500-pound fish
Mm.
that is huge. And you're in the water and the trainers have it, it's swimming right at you, and all you see come up is this fin out of the water. And in your mind, it's a dolphin, but in the
Mhm.
back of your mind, all you hear is doo 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 doo.
Yep.
I just can't. So, but it was great. It was great.
Mhm.
Doing that thing. It was a lot of fun. We had a great time going through the Caribbean, great time with PM and Anna and me and Karen. We had a wonderful time. We got to do it again for sure.
Yeah, just don't swim near a pier. You always say, I was watching the special.
Now, this is a big fenced in thing. You
Oh,
couldn't,
okay. Okay.
no
I
other
got
animals
it.
could
It
get
was an
in or
actual,
out.
just, yeah. Okay. I gotcha.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not, no.
Oh, 'cause I was about
I
to say,
wouldn't.
I watch YouTube and there's people that drop their GoPro off the piers, like in Florida. And dude, it's like
Oh,
tiger
yeah.
sharks, bull sharks.
Yeah,
that's where all the life is around.
no, no.
Anyway,
Don't
we went
swim in
down
the
this.
ocean. Don't swim in the open ocean. You're not going to get attacked by a shark.
Nope,
Period.
nope.
Period.
You're in their home. You're in their
I'm
backyard.
a pool guy.
That's what we always do. We always want to be near the beach, but we don't swim in the ocean. We just
Yeah,
want to,
yeah.
you know.
Listen, we've got before we jump into our discussion for tonight, which is about some commandments that the commandments still apply. Some of the crazy commandments that people they hear and they're like, "Wow, that's weird." Why would they do that? And you realize, oh my goodness. Well, most people don't realize that. Oh my goodness, these things actually still apply because we're so used to we're not under the law, which means the commandments that same old song that we've been singing for so long. But before we do that, last week we shared a song with you guys about
You're
Shabbat.
just lining up these
Right? Yeah,
songs.
I know. It's like I got a cue card right in front of me.
Is that Matt in the background holding them?
No. So we wanted to share another song with you guys. It's called "The Joy of Yah." Now we're not going to play the whole thing. We're just going to play a little clip of it. But the link is down there, or you can just go right on YouTube and type in "Joy of Yah," and it's another along the same line, same type of sort of jazzy funk sort of music. This type of music I definitely like. So we're just going to play a piece of this. So
Get your foot bumping.
Yeah, it's a foot bumper, but it's this way. Because one of the things for me a lot is finding. I listen to lots of different types of music. But you want to listen when you want to listen to worship music, you got to be picky about which worship music you're listening to as to what the words are and all the rest of that. So it's nice to have songs that are absolutely dedicated to Yah. So here we're going to play this for you guys. We're only going to play a little piece of it so that we don't get a copyright strike here. And we might even comment in the middle of it so that we don't get a strike. But just so you guys get a flavor of it, and if you guys want to listen to it, you can go and show these people some love and check it out on YouTube and download it. You can listen to it on your Shabbats. All right, so here we go. It's called "The Joy of Yah."
Wake up, it's time to give thanks. Look like your hands giving you another day.
I like that vibe.
Blood's flowing through your veins. Lift your hands and giving you all the praise. Don't you be ashamed to praise his name. Don't you be ashamed.
Got that jazz in there too, right?
Yeah. A little bit of funk to it,
Cast your cares upon him. Trusting that he's with you. Everything is done because of his only son. One day at a time, taking back what's rightfully mine.
I like that. Everything's done for his son, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty. Hopefully you guys will
give
check
me a
that
little
out.
taste. You gotta
give you a little taste. Hopefully you guys will check that out. Again, it's called "The Joy of Yah." It should be in the description. You can, or like I said, just go to YouTube and type in "Joy of Yah." You'll see it up there. You can listen to it for yourself. We're trying to give you guys a little bit of music, just some things to listen to.
Shabbat, right?
Somebody, I think that's Brother Paul wrote Miles Davis. Oh boy,
That's funny.
All right, so we started this last week, and we were talking about some of those weird commandments that you hear. Because again, so much of the time, and I've had this discussion, I can't tell you how many times with people where they say, well, you say you keep the commandments, but you don't do this, right? And you don't stone people, and you don't kill people, and all the rest of that, and it's just I get where they're coming from, but it's really a misunderstanding of what the commandments were there for to begin with. There's still the instruction in righteousness. They will always be the instruction. So, which is kind of weird, because if you think about it, so a large part of the group, the body, Christendom that says they believe in Messiah, and I have no doubt that they do. I absolutely believe that many of them do. But say, well, but the commandments aren't for us. Of course, that's part of the Torah. It's part of the Old Testament. It's not for us. But what they don't realize is to say, well, he saved us from our sin, so we're not supposed to sin anymore. Well, the only place sin is defined is in the Torah. The Torah tells you what sin is and what sin is not. The Torah tells you what righteousness is and what righteousness is not. So when you hear, our New Testament brethren around us saying, yeah, well, we're not supposed to commit adultery. Well, that's Torah.
Yeah.
That's Torah. And you can't, and so the thing becomes, well, we pick and choose. We can do XYZ commandments, but all the other ones don't apply. And there's no doubt that there is a part of the Levitical law does not apply to us. It just doesn't. The earthly Levitical law, but the law of the temple, the law of the sacrifice, that still applies.
Mhm.
It's just a heavenly temple. It's a
Yeah,
heavenly.
yeah.
So it's that difference between understanding the earthly shadow and the example, which is what we have written in front of us, which gives us sort of the base pattern, the most simple version of it. But as we grow, we're supposed to understand that this has much bigger ramifications. Yeah, you ought to keep the letter of the law, but it's not just about the letter of the law anymore. It's about the spirit of the law, or really, I guess maybe another way of saying it is the intent of the law.
Yeah, I think my not go to, but my question always back is, what about 2 Timothy 3:16, right?
Yeah.
All scripture
All
is
scripture.
used for right, but and says, and training in righteousness or teaching. And think about it, what scripture, honestly, aside from a few letters that Paul was writing here, that was available? The Torah, the prophets, the writings, right?
I said this, I think I said this on Shabbat. We have to really super duper emphasize the words of Messiah.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
What Messiah actually says, whether it be Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and the book of Revelation, as the standard, the priority, because that is the equivalent of speaking from Mount Sinai. And so, but when you get to Saul and Peter and James and all the rest of them, what they're giving us is commentary. They're giving us explanations.
Yeah.
And if it seems like, because this is really the issue, it's not that Saul contradicts Messiah, but if you don't understand how Saul's writing, it can sound like he's saying something totally different than Messiah said. But if he does, then don't listen to him. If that's what you think Saul says, then stop listening to him. If that's what you think Peter did, that he said something Messiah did say, then stop listening to him. Because Messiah is the only one that can give a commandment, and the only one, if a commandment were ever to be removed, who's the only one that could do it? Messiah. Anybody else that changes a commandment is breaking the Torah, adding to or taking away. So if we read that you're not under the law, right, Saul in Galatians, and we interpret that as, well, no more Sabbath, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because Messiah didn't say that.
That's right.
And unfortunately, even though you're taught, when you go to Bible college or seminary,
doctrine is
exegesis, you're only supposed to pull out what the writer's actually saying. Don't put in your own interpretation. Well, how do you read Messiah say, I am the master of the Sabbath? I'm the guy that said it in Genesis 2, rest on the seventh day. That's me. I said that. Or that man is not created for the Sabbath, but Sabbath is for man. Or that don't bother with the traditions and these burdens, that there's freedom in the Sabbath, that yes, you can heal on the Sabbath and all these other things. Why would he say all of that if he's just going to get rid of the Sabbath?
Yeah. No, that's good. It's true. Because
and
unfortunately,
that's just one thing.
Because I think that's the whole thing, right? Doctrines have been formed around misinterpretation. So.
Yeah, so when we start picking it, but so now the hard part is, or the tricky part, because there are some commandments that you read and you're like, wow, how in the world does that still apply today? And so here's one. So here's the conundrum. The command we're just about to read. This is we're going to go to Exodus and chapter 20. Let me pop this up so you guys can see this. This is Exodus and chapter 20. This is the first time the commandments are given. Right? It's the first. So this is the angel of Yah, otherwise known as the Mashiach later on, speaking from Mount Sinai. And of course, you've got the first 4 commandments all the way up to Shabbat, verse 11. For 6 days, Yahweh made the heavens and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and he rested on the 7th day. So the Shabbat, the Sabbath, comes way before the Mosaic covenant comes. Way before the Mosaic. This is not a Mosaic covenant thing. This is a Yah thing. But that aside, he rested on the 7th day. Therefore, Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart. But here's the thing, number 12. Now, most people would say, well, yeah, we're supposed to do this. Here's the crazy part. Most people would take out verse 11 and say, no, that doesn't apply anymore. Now there's a new Sabbath, i.e. Sunday. But then they would look at verse 12 all the way through, from 12 to the rest of the commandments, the next 6 commandments. Respect your father and mother, so that your days are prolonged upon the soil which Yahuwah your Elohim is giving you. There's not a religious group anywhere that would say, well, yeah, we shouldn't do that. Well, of course you should do that. And there's not a religious group that say, well, you shouldn't murder, you shouldn't commit adultery. I don't know. Maybe today there's groups that say that's okay. You shouldn't steal. Well, that's probably most mega ministries. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, and et cetera, et cetera. You shall not covet, right? But it's this one here that I want to highlight for today, because most people, 99% of people that have a belief in Messiah, would look at this and say, yeah, we're supposed to respect our father and our mother, and so that our days are long upon the land that Elohim is giving to us. That's a commandment that still applies. The problem is we can't pick and choose, right? If we have the ability to change commandments or to choose which ones to keep and which ones not to keep, then that puts us in the place of the voice of Mount Sinai, which we are not.
Mm-hmm. And you'll hear that across pulpits, right? Oh, that's the moral law. Yeah.
Yeah, they try to separate it between ceremonial law and the moral law, that the Sabbath is ceremonial. Sabbath has nothing to do with ceremony. In fact, everything Messiah says it has nothing to do with ceremony. Don't do what the Pharisees do. Don't do the traditions the Pharisees do. Everybody thinks the problem is when we read the gospel accounts, we think the Pharisees were doing it right, that's the way it was supposed to be done. Not realizing, no, they are the actual example of what not to do. They had it wrong. They were in error the whole time. And we've got to realize that when we read it. So this commandment, respect your father and your mother, so that your days are prolonged. And like all 10 of these commandments, later on in the Torah, these get explained to us. We get some more detail about this commandment. And so here's the detail about this commandment. This is Deuteronomy 21. I think this is it. 21 and verse 18, because I've had so many discussions about this. So many people, they try to get this as like a gotcha, one of those, like, ever hear the thing, well, if God is almighty and all powerful, what if he created a rock that he couldn't move? It's like, what? Really?
The 3-year-old asking?
Really? Right. Really? That's what you that's the gotcha question.
Yeah, right. The extent of your
So verse 18, it says, so this is Moses expounding on what it means to honor your father and your mother. It says, when a man has a wayward and rebellious son who is not listening to the voice of his father or the voice of his mother, i.e. honoring father and mother, and who, when they have disciplined him, does not listen to them, then his father and his mother shall take hold of him and bring him out to the elders of his city, to the gate of his city, and shall say to the elders of his city, this son of ours is wayward and rebellious. He is not listening to our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard. Then all the men of his city shall stone him to death with stones. Thus you shall purge the evil from your midst, and let all Israel hear and fear. you read that, and like I said, I've had I can't tell you how many conversations with people saying, well, look at this commandment. You're supposed to stone your kids. So if you keep the commandments, how come you don't, kill your kids? How come you don't stone their kids when they're crazy? Every parent will tell you there probably comes a moment, and it's only for a moment, but there comes a moment in your mind where you wind up saying, I brought you into this world. I'm going to take you out. But we don't mean it.
No,
we don't mean it. And yet that's the commandment. That is the absolute commandment.
And I think, I'm sorry, that's so funny, but as you read, Yah isn't speaking about little kids here, because what does it go on to say?
Well, that's the first thing. Yeah.
Right. A glutton and a drunkard. So this isn't some,
Listen, if your 12-year-old's a wino, it's not the kid doesn't have a problem. You got a problem.
You got exactly.
You got a problem. Yeah. So right. So we're really not talking about children. We're talking about adult children or children, older children that have responsibility. But did Yah mean this? Yes. Yes, he absolutely meant it. That if you have an adult child, a responsible child that doesn't honor their mother and father and does all of these things and is so rebellious and just goes against them, yes, bring him to the elders. Yes, have a day in court.
Yeah, that right there, you hit it in the head. There's a process too.
Yeah,
because everyone thinks, oh, just pick up rocks and
right. Yeah, you don't just pick up stones, and it's not like an Islamic thing. You just pick up stones and you just start. It shouldn't be. And the Jews did the same thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, it was never intended to be that. But is this harsh? This is incredibly harsh, and yet it is also compassionate. Because it's that last verse there that says, "Do this to purge the evil from your midst." So why would Elohim give a commandment, an explanation of a commandment that is the commandment to honor your father and mother, and explain it in such a way that the penalty for it is this harsh? Because it still applies. And the way we have to think about this is the same way that Saul says the law is spiritual, not carnal. There is the letter of the law. There is the spirit of the law. We're reading the letter of the law. We're reading the instruction that Elohim gave to the house of Israel as the shadow or the pattern here on earth, the earthly parameters here on earth to testify to us what the heavenly reality is. So are we supposed to honor our father and mother? Absolutely, we're supposed to honor them. But it's much, much bigger than that. And so here's the kicker. Your son would have to be really, really, really bad. For any parent. I mean, we've seen people today, their kids do horrific and horrible things, and like, oh, my little Johnny, my Mikey, my Susie, whatever. Doesn't matter what the kid does. Mom and dad are, they'll make up every excuse in the book for them. And that's part of the problem. Yah didn't want that, because if you do that once, then it's going to happen again and again and again, and it'll be a societal thing. So, but the reality of our age is that there is no Sanhedrin. There is no godly court to go through. We can't do this on a global scale. Not yet. We can't do this on a global scale. And yet, does this law still apply? Well, here's something really interesting. This is Mark chapter 7. Let me get there first, and then I'll throw it up on the screen so everybody can see. Here's Mark chapter 7, and starting at around verse 6. And let me pop this up so you guys can see it. This is when we'll just go right up to verse 1 to get some context here. It says, and the Pharisees and some of the scribes. So that should tell us something right there. Having come from Jerusalem and seeing his taught ones eat bread with defiled, that is, unwashed hands, they found fault, right? So they found fault with the way the food they were eating, how they were eating. all the rest of that, because it wasn't according to the tradition of the Pharisees, the Sadducees, etc., etc. But the Pharisees and the Jews that follow them do not eat unless they wash their hands thoroughly, holding fast. Again, this is the tradition of the elders, guys. It's the tradition of the elders. We're not talking about the Torah.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the meaning of the Torah. This is the tradition of the elders. It says, "And coming from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash. And there are many other traditions which they have received and hold fast, the washing of cups, utensils, etc., etc." So these tradition stuff was all over the place. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Pharisees and scribes asked him, "Why do your taught ones not walk according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands?" And he answering said to them, "Well did Yeshayahu," of course that's Isaiah, "prophesy concerning you hypocrites, as it has been written, the people respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me.
Mm.
And in vain they worship me, teaching as the teachings, the commandments of men." So he's saying all the things that the Pharisees were doing, all of what we call Jewish law, a large portion of it, had nothing to do with Torah. It had to do with the traditions of Israel.
Yep.
It says, "And forsaking the commandment of Elohim, you hold fast the tradition of men." He said to them, "Well, do you set aside the commandment of Elohim?" So you actually remove the commandment of Elohim and you replace it with your tradition. Like removing the fourth commandment, that there is a day set apart for rest, and changing it and making it another day and calling it a new Sabbath. That's exactly what he's talking about here. That is exactly what he's talking about here. And we wind up doing the same thing. But look at the example that he gives, that he corrects them with. He says, "For Moshe said, respect your father and your mother." That's Exodus 20. We just read that.
Mm-hmm.
"And he who curses father or mother, let him be put to death." That's Deuteronomy 21, 18 through 21. So think about what the master just said. What were they supposed to be doing in that day? To an unruly son, to a son who's a drunkard, who is horrible with their parents, doesn't support them, treats them like garbage, all the rest of it. What
I even looked up before we went on, when I knew what you were talking about, and it says also that wayward son would also go against covenant, the people in the tribe, whatever. It wasn't just in the home; it was everywhere, man.
It was disrespectful in all things, but in particular to mother and father. Because how you're going to treat your parents is how you're going to treat everybody else.
Oh yeah.
And so here's the Messiah literally telling them, or the expectation of what he's telling them is, you should be doing this right now. Right now, if you've got a son, like, this is what should be happening. But what did they do? He goes on to say, "But you say, if any man says to his father or mother, whatever profit you might have received from me is Corban," that is a gift. So he's explaining what Corban means. In other words, if you give a monetary gift to the local synagogue or to the temple, you are literally paying for, you're bribing your way, saying, well, if I gave such amount of money, I no longer have to honor this commandment to my mother and father. You no longer let him do any matter at all for his father and mother, nullifying the word of Elohim through your tradition, which you have handed down, and many such traditions you do. So the crazy thing here is, think about this is Messiah, and he's telling them his expectation of them is that you should be keeping the commandments of Moses right here, right now. And if you've got a son in this condition, this is what ought to be done with him. He's not making an excuse, say, oh, well, that's back then, and we don't do that now. We're more enlightened. He's saying, no, this is what Elohim said. This is what the commandment said. But you have changed it. You've altered it. You've molded it. Now, again, you look at that and you say, well, by our standard, we say, well, that's kind of harsh. We don't do that. We wouldn't do that. Why would Elohim give us such a crazy commandment like that? Nobody's going to take their kids out there and send them to court and have them killed. We couldn't do it today because there's no real righteous court. But besides that, why not? Here's the thing. This is about honoring mother and father. There is the earthly commandment, but there is a spiritual meaning to it. While this is about honoring mother and father, what this is really about is honoring Elohim, honoring the Spirit, honoring the Son. And so the lesson that's being taught to us is if you can't do this to your earthly parents, if you can treat them so horribly, you deserve death. What happens if you treat Elohim that way? What do you think's coming? The same exact judgment. Death. Death is coming. Here's Hebrews chapter 2. Let me pop this up here. Hebrews chapter 2, if you guys are following along, it'll be up on the screen in just a second. Book of Hebrews chapter 2 and verses 10. It's like 10 through 18, but I probably won't read it all. I'll just put a little bit of it up here so you guys can see it. Here's verse 10. This is talking about the Messiah and all of us. It says, "For it was fitting for him, because of whom all are and through whom all are," meaning the Messiah. We're all through him. He's made everything. And what is he doing? He is bringing, let me see if I can highlight this. He is bringing many sons to glory, to make the prince of their deliverance perfect through suffering. So he's talking about how he made Messiah perfect, but what is the goal of Messiah? Now, there's a couple of different analogies. We're called bride, we're called the guest, we're called all sorts of different things. But ultimately, one of the overall titles that apply to us who come by faith into Messiah, by faith to Elohim, is we are sons. Sons and daughters. We're children. We're sons. And that's what he's telling us here. He's bringing many sons. "For he who both sets apart and those who are being set apart are all one, for which reason he is not ashamed to call them brothers." So we're called sons. We're called brothers. Well, what's the commandment of the son? Honor your father and mother, or death will come. That commandment still applies. Honor your father and mother. Honor Elohim. Honor the Son, honor the Spirit, or death will come. So there's the earthly commandment, but it still applies. It may be a heavenly thing that may be much, much bigger, but the basic premise of the commandment has not just fallen away. It didn't just disappear. It's absolutely still there. And we see this in ultimately, just to give you guys a reference point for this, book of Revelation, all the way in the end, Revelation chapter 20 and verse 11. This is the great white throne judgment, where all the sons, all the children are going to be gathered. And I saw a great white throne, and he who sat in it was sitting on it, and whose face from the earth and heaven fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne. The books were open. Another book was open, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged from that which was written according to the books, according to their works. And the sea. Now, when he says the books, what book are we going to be judged by? The commandments. That's the book he's referring to.
Yeah.
There's the book of life, but there's the book of commandments.
Well, it says right there, and according to their works.
According to their works. And the sea gave up the dead who were in it, and death and gave up the death, and Sheol gave up the dead, and they were judged each one according to their death. And death and Sheol were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death. What's the penalty for every son who dishonors father and mother, their creator? What is the penalty if they do not repent, if they do not turn their ways, if they do not come and change, if they do not do good things? What is the penalty? The same penalty as is given to us in Deuteronomy chapter 21. Death.
Yep.
As much as, what's that saying? As much as things change, they stay the same. And so, wow,
Yeah.
this is so the trick here is with every commandment. Now, again, do I understand every commandment? No, I don't. I don't understand every commandment yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it yet. There's some commandments I'm like, well, how does it actually apply? I got to really think. That's fine. That's okay. You can do that. But there's a lot of commandments that seem just obvious to me. It's like, well, wait a minute. You can follow this all the way through the book to the end, and it doesn't change. And so that's my contribution for tonight.
Good.
That as sons and daughters, we ought to be careful who we honor.
Mm-hmm.
We ought to honor our Creator, our Father.
Yep.
We ought to honor them, because if you don't, and so if Messiah is scolding them in Mark 7 for not doing the literal, then do you think that somehow, because I think we have this idea that, we're going to stand before Elohim one day and it's just going to be all about grace, and he's just going to excuse all things, thinking like there's no repercussions for what you do.
Yeah.
And that's just not true.
That's right.
That is just not true.
That's good.
So what do you got?
I'm going to do Exodus 21. And if we can pull up 1 through 6.
Let me jump over there. Exodus 21, 1 through 6.
The command for a Hebrew servant. If he, after the 6 years, on the 7th year, he goes free. But if he wants, he can, stay with his master.
Okay. So what verses do you want me to read?
Let's just do 1 through 6, just so we have context.
It says, these are the right rulings which you're to set before them. When you buy a Hebrew servant, he serves 6 years, and the 7th he goes out free for nothing. If he comes in by himself, he goes out by himself. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master has given him a wife, and she has borne him sons and daughters, the wife and her children are her master's, and he goes out by himself. And if the servant truly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, let me go out free, then his master shall bring him before Elohim, and shall bring him to the door of the doorpost, and the master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Yeah, this is a great one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
that's a good one.
All those spider senses start going off, right? Like Spider-Man, you're like, there's so many things,
Yeah, there's a lot.
And there are. And the two things, if I have enough time to go through, is how this is towards man, and then also the messianic fulfillment, right, through Messiah. So number one, right, I just want to, like, why the ear, right? So it says to put your ear against the doorpost, right? So obviously the ear represents all through, if you just look up Hebrew meaning of an ear and just in common sense, it's obedience, submission to authority. And that's why I think even with the Shema, right, it's hear, O Israel, right? So we see references like that, and I want you to pull up Jeremiah.
That's what Shema means.
Yeah.
Or the word Shimon, Simon.
Yeah.
It means to hear.
Pull up Jeremiah 6:10. This is just one reference I wanted to, because you never hear these phrases until once you're starting to study, you're like, oh my goodness, never saw this.
6 and 10.
Oh yeah, verse 10.
To whom shall I speak and give warning so that they hear? See, their ear is uncircumcised, and they are unable to listen. See, the word of Yahweh is a reproach to them, and they do not delight in it. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and Acts 7:51 echoes the same thing. It's just the same scripture basically brought out in Acts. So now we see, like I said, now, so the ear is submission to authority, right? So the doorpost. Now, why the doorpost?
I got right? Acts 7 and 51. You said?
Yeah.
It says, you stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, you always resist the set-apart spirit as your fathers did. You do also. So that again, you're telling me what the ear means.
Yeah, what the ear means.
Yeah.
Right. So what is the doorpost? Because why wasn't it, the wall? Why wasn't it, a stone? Right? Because you're gonna want something, right? Physically, you're like, oh, you need something hard behind it, because you need, it's like hammering a nail. You don't do it on paper. You need a wood. So the doorpost represents covenant, also showing authority, And in a Hebrew home, once you cross the doorpost, the threshold means you come under the rule of the house, right? So you've come under the rule of the house. The doorpost, right? So crossing the doorpost meant that you entered into an oath, protection, or judgment. And then
this goes right back to the whole Passover.
Oh yeah. Exodus 12. When I see the blood, I will pass over you.
Yeah.
Right. So
the threshold covenant.
Yep. Exactly. And of course, about to say, we get the threshold covenant. In Deuteronomy 6:9, where are we told, right, to put the mezuzah, right? So on the doorpost or the gate of your house, right?
Here it is. I'm going to read it. And you shall write them. Well, I'll read the one before it. And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And what is this? This is the Shema.
Yep.
What you are to hear. And you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. Yeah, good.
Yep. Yeah. And literally, the mezuzah stands as a witness, right, to the covenant, right? So now, I just want to say, also, this is really cool. So we know that in John 10:9, Yeshua says that he is the door, right? So if the doorway also represents covenant, right, you have to pass through to enter. And now we enter in to Father's house, the house of Israel. So now, like I said, that doorway or the threshold represents Father's house. And there's only one way to enter that home, and that's through who? Yeshua. So the whole doorpost represents covenant. And of course, we were all slaves to sin, but now in Messiah, what are we? We are bond servants, right?
Bond servants, yeah.
Bond servant, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it says in the beginning of that scripture that we were bought with a price. What does 1 Corinthians 6:20 say? Pull it up if you...
Yep, let me do that. 1 Corinthians 6:20 is, for you were bought with a price. Therefore, esteem or give glory to Elohim in your body. Put your ear to the doorpost.
Yep.
And in your spirit, which are of Elohim.
Yep. Now, like I said, that there's different things that we can extrapolate from this command, right? So now with Messiah, we know that Messiah isn't forced into obedience. John 10:18 says, I lay my life down by myself. So I don't know if you have time to pull up John. Yeah, John 10:18.
That's the same chapter where he calls himself the door.
Door, yep. Isn't that crazy how it's lining up?
No one takes it from me, but I lay down myself. I have authority to lay it down. I have authority to receive it again. This commandment I receive from my Father.
Yep. Yeah, he chose submission. John 14:31. Since you're in John, just pull that one up too. I don't know if you... Let's go to the next. Yeah,
John 14 what?
31.
But in order for the world to know that I love the Father and that as the Father commanded me, so I am doing. Rise up, let us go from here. Is that the one you're looking for?
Yeah. It's showing just the submission that he's giving, because he loves Father.
Well, that's what we were just reading in Hebrews too. We were just reading in Hebrews about bringing many sons, that he became like us and submitted like us. In Hebrews chapter 2, and bringing many sons to glory.
Yep. And this is the servant language, right? Because we know that Yeshua came, right, as a servant. Check this out. Psalms 40, verse 6.
How come I think? Oh, there it is. Psalms 40.
Verse 6.
And verse 6 says, slaughtering and meal offering you did not desire. You have opened my ears. Ascending offering and sin offering you did not ask for. Then I said, behold, I come, in the scroll of the book it is prescribed for me. Yeah, wow, good stuff.
Yeah. And that scripture is also in Hebrews 10.
Right, yep. Quoted again in Hebrews about Messiah.
John 8 says, I do nothing of myself. So what I'm just getting, so voluntarily, right, Yeshua lays his life down because he loves his Father and us, right? He is the door. Right. And what was pierced? His hands and feet are pierced on the post. Right. And
Yeah, he's the servant that pierces his body onto the
Yep.
wow,
Yep.
good stuff.
Yeah. And so and it's crazy because now he, like the Psalms say, right? He is our high priest forever in the order of Melchizedek, serving unto the Father, right? Just like a servant, right? Forever as our high priest. So it's pretty cool. I mean, there's other, other stuff we can add to that, but
Sure. What we pray every time we get together. Abba, give us eyes to see,
yep,
ears that are nailed that we hear.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's all over the place.
yeah. But
I
it
like
was just
that.
curious, right? Why the doorposts? Why those things? I mean, and of course, you always see it, right? The threshold covenant. But it's important. Yah doesn't just put these things out there randomly.
No,
right?
no.
They're all.
Now there's obviously there's commandments that he gives that are specific to like certain situations that are going on in their lives. Maybe we'll do this commandment another time about when you go to war and how you do it. And yet it still has a real spiritual meaning. But it was talking about it was a way of guiding them through what was going on in their lives in that day and still be righteous. But it still has a spiritual meaning. All of these things have a spiritual meaning, a literal physical meaning, but a spiritual meaning. So when we say we're not under the law, we're thinking, well, we none of this applies to us anymore. No, it's bigger than we ever thought. Because ultimately, when you go back to those first verses that you read about, it's at the end of 7 years that you gain your freedom. Well, it's at the end of 7 days. It's at the end of this week of millennial days that we are going to gain our freedom. That's when we get the ultimate freedom. That's when all of us who have put our ears to the doorpost and we have shamad. We get our freedom with our husbands and our wives and our sons and our daughters and everyone else who followed us that he gave to us and also put their ears to the doorpost. That doesn't come till the seventh day. I mean, there's just so much in there. It's really incredible.
Yeah. It's amazing to see how all these things, it's not an Old Testament, forgotten,
No, it's not. It's not. But again, the trick is taking your time and a bit redundant, but asking Abba for eyes to see and ears to hear, to be able to, okay, this is what it says. I understand how this may have been applied in ancient Israel, and now how does this apply eternally? How is this a spiritual law that has application for all of us, and yet still has its connection to the literal or the letter of the law that was given to us down here on earth?
Just like
that's the trick.
Yeah. I mean, I heard it, even during Tabernacles, some people will just, still see Tabernacles as when they left Egypt and they were in tents, not seeing the fulfillment, the future of the meaning,
Yeah, the bigger meaning.
Yeah, the bigger meaning, So, but yeah, I like doing this, it's good to do, that a little bit of, digging in there. And like I said, we, there's some commandments that, like you said, in time.
I'm not saying I understand how every commandment applies, but I do know that not one jot or one tittle of the Torah is going to pass away till it's all fulfilled. So, I'm just going to take him at his word, and everything hasn't been fulfilled. A lot has been fulfilled, but everything's not fulfilled yet. We're still learning. We're still understanding. So I think it's we're
still on earth.
We're still on earth. I think it's a mistake to do what sort of the world around the religious world around it is that we did ourselves, because that's the way we were taught. So when I went to Bible college, seminary, that's what they taught us. Those things aren't for us, but we can still do this, and this, and these things still apply. And you definitely still have to tithe. It's like we picked it, we choose these little. Listen, you can't do that. You gotta understand how it all applies, and it all does in some way, some fashion, somehow. So good stuff. Good stuff. Bro. I hope you guys enjoyed that little study for tonight. Study, conversation, joking around a little bit.
Song, we had
Song.
everything tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. All right, man. It is 8:30. Man, that hour went by really, really quick. Really, really quick. Join us. Don't forget to join us tomorrow, guys, at 10:30 for our Shabbat service. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, how'd that do last week? Did you mess you up a little bit?
Oh yeah, man! It was so weird being there on the Sunday. It really was. What really messed us up is the next day.
Yeah, I was about to say it shortened your weekend too. I was gonna text you and be like, "Oh, did you go out to eat afterwards?" I would have just did it just because, right?
Well, actually, yeah. When we got home, it took me a minute to realize. Oh wait, yeah, I can go to the deli.
We could have went out and got lunch.
Yeah. No, I was like, yeah, we can go to the deli, man. That's right. We can go do that. It's Sunday. It's not. It's not Shabbat.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it was weird. Not weird. It was just different.
Yeah.
Because listen, for a long time we tried to do both, and I'm telling you, you just can't do both. You can't do Sunday and you can't do Shabbat. We were trying to honor the Sabbath and still keep that tradition, but you just can't do both.
No,
there's stuff you got to get done on the weekend.
Yeah, especially and not that you don't work. I know how busy, how much work you do. And you do a great job. But I was just saying, people that work on Monday through Friday and they have Shabbat, Sunday is a day to cut your lawn, go food shopping. Yeah. Otherwise, you got to do it after work on Monday. Who wants to do that, right?
Yeah. Take care of your home and all the rest of that stuff.
Yep. So, but all right, brother.
So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Yep, 10:30 a.m. Don't forget to download the app if you can. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Hit that bell. Share this out with somebody. Hit the bell so that you're notified. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We hope that you guys have a great evening. We'll close out tonight again with a little bit of that song of The Joy of Yah. I love you, brother.
Love you too, buddy.
Peace. The joy of Yah. Shalom.